It's like she said it's 1:30 a.m. Tell me what you call for. I just need somebody real to tell me what it's all for. You know what you stand for, you know what you fall for. Said you don't believe in me, well that's your son called for. These things take time, you just gotta trust me. You got reason to doubt everybody here but me. Said I'm taking off here, all they do is judge me. She told me I was childish, I told her she was lovely, and then she said
the day was May 24th, 2018. Chris Paul goes up for a spin layup on Quinn Cook in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals playoffs. He falls down hard and injures his hamstring. The Rockets go on to win that game, but then choke the next two to the Warriors to lose the series and eventually let the Warriors go on to win the NBA championship 4-0 to the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James. Hello.
And welcome to the
Quadruple Double. Today we're going to be doing a what-if scenario that's kind of going to be a series, so it's going to be a long one, of what would happen if Chris Paul didn't get injured on that day and the Rockets actually won the championship.
So, basically what we're going to do, we kind of came up with where players would go or what moves would happen. And there will be moves that happen in real life that will still be happening, but there will be moves that won't be happening. And we did make a list. There are, I think, 18 out of the 30 NBA teams that we think were not severely or not
Severely
affected by the Rockets winning the championship. And whilst the rosters of these teams will not be the exact same as they were heading into this past season, the changes made were not enough, I think, to make a change in the standings or even change in the starting lineup. That's basically it. So the teams that are not affected to the degree that we deemed enough are Orlando, you got the Magic, Brooklyn Nets, Detroit, Atlanta, Houston Rockets,
the Miami Heat, the Charlotte Hornets, the Milwaukee Bucks, Portland Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings,
Indiana Pacers, Memphis Grizzlies, the Thunder, OKC Thunder, and the New York Knicks,
and the Chicago Bulls, Denver Nuggets, Utah Jazz, and Dallas Mavericks.
So basically we're going to start it off with the first move of the offseason. Kevin Durant leaves the Warriors to sign with, drum roll please, the Washington Wizards, going back to the hometown. This was a real rumor that was going around after that season, but it was
completely squashed when he signed his 2-year, $61.5 million contract
with the Warriors, which is not happening here. This time he is going to sign a 4-year, $164 million max contract with the Wizards with a player option on the 3rd year.
Now, this doesn't mean that the Wizards don't trade Otto Porter. They have to do so to free up the cap space to pair him with John Wall.
Yes.
And Bradley Beal. They trade him for Jabari Parker and Bobby Portis still.
Which is still happened. They trade him to Chicago. And then, because they don't have the money to keep Jabari Parker and not lose everybody else other than John Wall, Bradley Beal, and KD, they then trade him to Jabari Parker and a 2021 second-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Zeller. And as you know, the Hornets have bad contracts, so they'll probably accept that. And there's also potential with Jabari Parker there. So
next up, the next little minor move that still happens is Jordan still is traded to the Milwaukee Bucks for a future second-round pick, but they don't include cash this time because they need to sign Kevin Durant.
Yes, and also the Knicks bought out DeAndre Jordan.
Yep.
And instead of signing with the Dallas Mavericks, he's now signing with the Wizards for a 2-year, $12 million deal, which is less than the real deal that he signed.
Because Kevin Durant and him are friends, so after he was bought out by the Clippers.
And also, Clippers, my bad. He's also accepting a smaller role here. He knows it's a smaller role than what he would have had, or what he actually has in real life.
But they're coming together. But they're coming together to make a big four of John Wall, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Jordan.
Another trade that happened midway through the season was them trading Markieff Morris to the Pelicans second-round pick also to the Pelicans for Wesley Johnson. Except this time we're still predicting the same trade, but it happened at the beginning of the season. Then the Pelicans would fill their need at small forward later. We're going to talk about them later, either this episode or another one, but they do re-sign DeMarcus Cousins, which leaves an open slot at small forward, so they do go for Markieff Morris.
Yep, and the Wizards from there, they trade Austin Rivers to the Utah Jazz for cash, and that he will then sign a cheaper contract with them later, and which they use along the money they have to like waive two-way players and then money left to sign the Marquise Morris deal.
And they use all that money left to buy out the terrible contract
Mahimi.
of Jan Mahimi, which he was getting paid around $16.7 million for averaging 5 points and 4 rebounds a game, and not even playing more than half the season.
Yeah.
And most of these moves were made to sign KD to the max because John Wall already has a rich contract and Bradley Beal is getting paid more.
Yeah. So the two moves that they didn't do, though, just for your information, are not signing Dwight Howard or not trading for Trevor Ariza. So this kind of rounds out to their roster where they got John Wall at point guard, Bradley Beal at shooting guard, Kevin Durant at small forward, Bobby Portis at power forward, and DeAndre Jordan at center.
And their bench is basically made up of players that they already had, except for the inclusion of the now acquired Cody Zeller. And our final episode of this what if situation will be 2K simulated season with these teams.
So we're going to be compiling all the information into one episode where we take it all, put it into a 2K simulation, and see how it all turns out.
Yeah, we see what happens. But I predict that the Wizards will be one of the top seeds in the East now that they have KD, and it'd be pretty cool. I think would be a fun team to watch in real life too.
Oh, definitely. They're a pretty stacked team.
So now we're going to do San Antonio Spurs. So we're actually going to kind of combine what the Spurs and the Raptors did together because there still is going to be a trade. The trade, however, is not Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan and assortment of players. But yeah, the first trade we're doing is that Spurs trade DeJounte Murray, Danny Green, Pau Gasol, and a first-round pick for the Toronto Raptors for Kyle Lowry and Jakob Poeltl. And this results in them re-signing Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $93 million contract. And you're thinking probably, how does this happen? In real life, Kawhi Leonard wanted out, but now
with Kyle Lowry as
a team,
all third All-NBA team, well-established players, pairing him with LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is still very into the winning culture of San Antonio.
And to take in Kyle Lowry's contract and also be able to re-sign Kawhi Leonard for that type of money, they don't re-sign Rudy Gay for that $10 million a year, and they don't sign Marco Bellinelli.
They also signed Dwight Howard to a 1-year veterans minimum deal. So which makes their lineup Kyle Lowry at point guard, Brian Forbes at shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard at small forward, LaMarcus Aldridge at power forward, and Dwight Howard at center.
And their bench pretty much remains the same as it did across the real life 2018-19 season. And as a Spurs fan, I think this would be a really good team. I don't think this happens in real life, but there is a chance. I think the rumors about Kawhi Leonard being angry about a situation and really wanting to leave are a little overblown. And while they may be justifiable, I blame Uncle Dennis. So, this is, I think, the Spurs would be a higher seed, but so you're probably wondering what happened to DeMar DeRozan then, and pretty much that's what the Raptors did. They also got rid of him too, and this is our result of
another trade with the Suns. But we're just for reference, there is justification for the Raptors trading both of these stars, and it's due to the fact that a lot of super teams were being formed in the East due to this non-injury.
And we will talk about this team either later or in further episodes.
So this is going to be the last team we talk about this episode, and the DeMar DeRozan trade involved him going to the Phoenix Suns for Josh Jackson, Dragon Bender, and an unprotected 2019 first-round pick.
And that is the prize of the deal. The Raptors are getting young players like DeJounte Murray, and Danny Green's not as old. He's still old, but they're also getting
unprotected first-round picks.
Yeah, they also get it, and they still get a first-round pick, a 2020 first-round pick from the Spurs in that same Kyle Lowry deal.
Yeah.
So they're kind of building for the future.
Yeah.
And Josh Jackson, Dragon Bender, at that time, Josh Jackson still had a little hype,
a little bit of potential,
and Dragon Bender. Yeah. I don't know, but that's pretty much it.
It was just a filler player, obviously, to fill the contract. So this leaves them with the roster of point guard DeJounte Murray, shooting guard Danny Green, OG Anunoby at small forward, Serge Ibaka at power forward, Jonas Valanciunas at center.
And the bench is essentially many of the players you saw this upcoming season. Siakam has been relegated to the bench, Pascal Siakam, but that was
Because
kind
he
of
wasn't
his-
as established as he was
at that
before.
point, and he wasn't put into that position where there was an opening for him at power forward.
Yeah.
And Pau Gasol becomes their backup center now
Yeah.
after Jakob Poeltl is gone. And that's pretty much it. So to
Guys,
quickly
like-
recap,
Mhm.
we did the Washington Wizards. Their big moves was pretty much just a lot of
Freeing
trades
up a
still
lot of space
happening.
to get
Signing
Durant.
Kevin Durant, that's the one
Massive
overall
thing.
move that they
Getting
did.
DeAndre to fill out
Yes.
with big man and Bobby
Yeah.
Portis,
The Spurs traded for Kyle Lowry and re-signed Kawhi Leonard.
which was huge for them, which is going to be very, very good.
And finally, the Toronto Raptors got rid of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan in order to get younger players
And and become a lottery team too, in order
and
to
new
get
picks. Because
better picks.
the Suns, which we'll talk about in another episode, might still not be as good, leaving the unprotected first-round pick for the Raptors still a potential top 10 pick,
Yeah.
with a draft such as the 2019 draft still having
Looming
decent,
ahead, yeah.
really good talent in the top 8 players at least.
So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. We'll see you soon with part 2. That's a wrap.
Her body's gold like September. She burns through the night like an ember. And all those things we try forgetting, I remember. But we say we all fine, we all fine.